Hey everyone, Not Daddy here with this week's new releases that I pulled out that I thought were worth reading. We have 9 only this time, a slower week with books, so it wasn't as many to pick from, so let's jump into what I did get. First for you, I read Absolute Superman number 4. Excellent series so far. Everyone's really enjoying the Absolute stuff. This book, we're introduced to the Omega Men, the terrorist organization. They seem to be really against the Lazarus government group, which is kind of like a policing group for superpower stuff and that. They're in also looking for Superman. Lois Lane is part of that group, and she is especially looking for Superman. He doesn't want to talk to her and that. So we got Lois out there doing this. They Mega Man find her in that. It ends up being a confrontation against them and the Peacekeepers, who are the policing force for the Lazarus group. And Superman does show up, puts an end to it all, tells Lois again that he doesn't want to talk to her, and then flies off. So, good book so far. Really liking it a lot. It's Valentine's Day, so we got an Archie Valentine book, the official comic book of Valentine's Day. Shout out to Dan Parent, friend of the channel. We have a new story here featuring 3 of those holiday spirits. They're the hearts, flowers, and candies. Got introduced last Valentine's Day, I believe it is. So it shows them going around Riverdale, showing all the relationships that have happened over and blossomed over in Riverdale and that. Focusing a lot of these new characters that have shown up over the last few years in Archie. We have Ethel here with that character Eliza Banks. We have that Cassie character down at the bottom there, the blonde. She has a brother as well. Over here at the top, we have Reggie talking to Daisy. She's a new character. And the next page here, we got those 3 witches there. They're the nemesis of Sabrina. In the bottom corner there, we have Shrill and Darkling. And over in the bottom right there, that big half-page panel, we kind of have a group picture of all the characters there. So it's nice to see that. Again, like I said, a Valentine special. And then we do have some backup stories of love-themed stuff as well. So, classic Archie. From DC, part of the All-In stuff, we have the 4th issue of Batgirl. Cassandra Cain is Batgirl. Her mother's Lady Shiva. And unfortunately, they're having to work together to fight off this new terrorist assassination organization called the Undead or the Unbeing. I can't remember. It changes between that and the main character. So now they're also having to work with former enemies and new people. Not really wanting to, but kind of have to because of common enemies. And it's been a good book. Lots of action, lots of inner turmoil because of these relationships and that, especially with family members. And it does introduce some new characters in here who are part of that new cult or whatever you want to call them. So lots of fun. I'm enjoying this a lot. Issue 4 of Batgirl. Batman 157. This is the final issue of the Chip Zdarsky stuff. I enjoyed the Chip Zdarsky run. I know it had some highs and lows over the couple years that it's been going on, but still I give it a passing grade overall. This kind of ties up a bunch of loose ends. Batman's after that code that the Russians are taking that's going to kind of give them like access and control to everything in the world. That Commander Star character is actually the KG Beast, and he's in the middle of the town causing kind of chaos and riots and that going on. We have Commissioner Gordon still tangling with the Riddler. And all this is going on at the same time. Lots of fun, some crazy action. Batman lands a plane by shooting off the wings. It's, your usual crazy Batman nonsense. And a good way to end off this Chip Zdarsky run. Amazing artworks, especially the issues. This one included that had the Jorge Jimenez art. So we'll see where the new artists and the new creative teams jump off next month with new Batman. From Boom, we have issue 1 of a book called Bronze Phases. We have 3 Nigerian young people, adults, who end up meeting at a art exhibit in London. The exhibit is showing off all their Nigerian artwork that their father figure has done, and they realize that it's being misappropriated and that. So they've decided that they're probably going to steal it back to a museum heist type of thing. These 3 people have actually just kind of met after being apart for many years. They kind of grew apart and had their differences in that. So we'll see that working out as we continue as well. So lots of good fun. I enjoyed the artwork in here and that as well too. And there's nothing wrong with a good heist caper. So from Boom Studios. From Oni, we have the EC Comics reboot, Cruel Kingdom #2. This is definitely what it could have been cover of the week if it wasn't for that Mark Spears Shazam one. But great cover here. Really like that. You get that whole fantasy aspect in there. You got 3 stories in here. I enjoyed all 3 of them very much. The first one is about a knight that gets a cursed magic sword in battle, and it gives him kind of immunity type of thing. But we find out that maybe that's not what's the best thing for you. Second story is about a woman who gets accused of witchcraft, kind of during the Salem witchcraft times. So I enjoyed that as well. And lastly, we have a story about a king that is always doing all his ruling of the country and that behind a closed door. And this one guy is very curious and that ends up trying to kill and conquer and that to become the new king, and finds out what really does happen behind closed doors. So excellent work for all these reboots of the EC stuff, and great covers as well for all those books. Speaking of great covers and great books of anthology series, we have issue 7 of Hello Darkness. Couple great covers on here. This is the main cover. I like also there's 2 Jenny Frison ones. One is nudity one, so that's a black bag one, so probably not a lot of people have seen it. There's also a horror one too, where she's ripped out an eyeball. So got a few stories in here. This one is all Valentine themed or love related, all these stories. So we got a killing monster here, kind of like a Jason type, that collects a bunch of people and dismembers them and turns them into a love appreciation artwork for his girlfriend. Next story is about a guy who ends up killing his wife and is kind of ghost haunted by her on a dating app. That one's kind of fun as well. And then we have one about a woman who is tragically haunted by her vampire lover and ends up killing herself to be with him. That is the nudity cover. That is the eyeball cover I told you about. This one is about people that live inside people. And finally, one about a creepy phone booth. So lots of great stories in that one. Like I said, really enjoying those, especially those Jenny Frison covers. And speaking of covers of the week, this is the Shazam one. This is not the one that is the cover of the week, like I mentioned. That is the Mark Spears one. So do check that out if you haven't seen it yet. It is up on the Nat Daddy page. We have a one-shot story here of Shazam meeting Superboy or Superman, John Kent. I normally don't cover the Shazam stuff, but with that cover and this fun story of Superboy / Superman meeting Shazam, it was a lot of fun, so I figured I'd just point this out. In a collateral damage drive-by accident type of thing, John Kent gets reverted back to his young Superboy form by some of the magic lightning from Shazam. And him and the Marvels have a David adventure together before they figure out how to turn him back. Lots of fun. If you just want to read something for Shazam and not worried about getting too bogged down in a storyline or jumping into the middle of something, this would be a lot of fun, especially for kids too. And lastly, something that's not too spectacular, but it's all right, haha, pun intended. We got issue 12 of the Spectacular Spider-Man. This is the series that pairs up the two Spideys. You got Miles and Peter working together. And for the last few issues, they've been fighting the two Electros and also dealing with this new young hero who has just gotten powers, where she has the powers of all the kind of elements, and she calls herself Element now. So for the last few issues, the two spiders have been helping her hone and learn her abilities with other heroes as well too. In this issue, the two Electros do show up with a pretty solid game plan on how to take out the two Spideys. They end up doing so, and this other hero kind of steps up even though she's not ready for it, and ends up looking like she gets severely hurt. So we'll see what happens from the fallout there, because the Lizard shows up as well. So, all right, everybody, that's what I read this week. Like I said, not a big week for books, so let me know what you read and liked, and see if you liked any of these as well. And otherwise, follow the channel, like and subscribe. We got lots of more great stuff happening in the future. See you then.